He could lift a bus with one hand, stop a speeding train with his body, swing between skyscrapers like gravity was just a suggestion. The whole world saw him as a hero, a legend, the guy who always showed up when it mattered. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Spider-Man's life wasn't a dream. It was a nightmare wrapped in red and blue spandex. Every time he saved someone, he lost someone else. Every time he won, he paid for it with his sanity, his relationships, or a piece of his soul. The man behind the mask wasn't living the superhero fantasy. He was drowning in it. And the worst part? He couldn't stop. He couldn't walk away. Because if he did, people would die. So he kept going, kept swinging, kept smiling for the cameras, while everything inside him was falling apart. This is the story of why Spider-Man became the most beloved hero in comic book history, and why his life was pure, unrelenting hell. We love Spider-Man because he's supposed to be us. The awkward kid, the underdog, the guy who got dealt a bad hand but chose to do the right thing anyway. He's not a billionaire with a suit. He's not a god from another planet. He's Peter Parker, a kid from Queens who got bit by a radioactive spider and suddenly had to figure out what it means to have power. And that's the magic of it, right? He's relatable. He struggles with rent. He loses jobs. He gets dumped. He fails tests. He's human. But here's the cruel irony. The more human he is, the more he suffers. Because being Spider-Man doesn't make his life easier. It makes it impossible. Let's start with the myth, the version everyone believes. Spider-Man is the friendly neighborhood hero, the guy who cracks jokes while fighting supervillains, the one who always saves the day with a smile and a quip. He's colorful, he's fun, he's hopeful. In a world full of dark, brooding heroes, Spider-Man is the light, the one who reminds us that being good still matters, that even when the odds are stacked against you, you can still choose to help, to protect, to save, and people loved him for it. He became an icon, a symbol of resilience, of optimism, of doing the right thing even when it's hard. The whole world looked at Spider-Man and saw a winner, a legend, a hero who had it all figured out. But they didn't see what was happening behind the mask. They didn't see the cost, because here's the truth. Peter Parker's life was a slow-motion catastrophe. From the moment he put on that mask, everything started to crumble. His uncle was murdered. His fault. His girlfriend was killed by his greatest enemy. His fault. His best friend turned into a villain who wanted him dead. His fault. His aunt nearly died multiple times because people kept targeting her to get to him. His fault. He lost jobs, lost friendships, lost the love of his life over and over again because he couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't be there when she needed him. Couldn't have a normal life because he was too busy saving everyone else. And the guilt? The guilt never left. It lived in his chest like a stone. Every person he couldn't save. Every villain he couldn't stop in time. Every loved one who got hurt because they knew him. It added up. And it broke him. But here's where it gets darker. Spider-Man wasn't just dealing with loss. He was dealing with impossible choices. The kind that don't have right answers. Save the city or save the girl you love. Let a criminal go or watch innocent people die. Reveal your identity and protect your family, or stay hidden and let them live in danger. He was constantly forced to choose between bad and worse, and every choice haunted him, because no matter what he picked, someone suffered, someone died, someone hated him, and he had to live with that. Had to carry it. Had to keep going like it didn't destroy him a little more every single day. And the worst part? Nobody knew. Nobody saw the cost. Because Spider-Man was always cracking jokes, always smiling, always acting like everything was fine. That was his armor. His mask wasn't just the fabric on his face. It was the persona, the jokes, the optimism. It was the shield he used to hide how broken he really was. Because if people knew, if they saw how much he was suffering, they might realize he was just a kid, a scared, exhausted kid who had no idea what he was doing. And then they wouldn't believe in him anymore. So he kept it buried, kept swinging, kept saving, even when every bone in his body was screaming at him to stop. Peter Parker lived 2 lives, and both of them were hell. As Spider-Man, he fought monsters, saved cities, and watched people die in his arms. As Peter, he watched his life fall apart. Relationships shattered, opportunities vanished, Dreams died. He couldn't hold a job because he kept disappearing to save the world. Couldn't maintain a relationship because he was always lying, always running, always choosing strangers over the people who loved him. And the people who loved him? They paid for it. Mary Jane lived in constant fear. Aunt May nearly died more times than anyone should. Gwen Stacy fell off a bridge and never got back up. And Peter had to live with the knowledge that all of it, every single tragedy, happened because of him. Because he chose to be Spider-Man. Because he couldn't let it go. But he couldn't let it go. And that's the paradox. That's the trap. Because deep down, Peter Parker knew that if he stopped being Spider-Man, people would die. Innocent people. People who didn't ask for this. People who had no idea a kid in Queens was the only thing standing between them and chaos. So he kept doing it. Kept sacrificing. Kept losing. Not because he wanted to. Not because it made him happy. But because he couldn't live with himself if he didn't. That's the curse of power. The moment you have it, you're responsible for what happens when you don't use it. And Peter Parker learned that lesson the hard way. The night his uncle died. The night he realized that doing nothing is still a choice. And sometimes it's the worst choice of all. So he kept swinging, kept fighting, kept smiling, even when his body was broken, even when his heart was shattered, even when every single person he loved begged him to stop. Because stopping meant people died, and he couldn't handle that. Couldn't handle the weight of knowing he could have done something and didn't. So he carried it. All of it. The guilt, the pain, the loss, the impossible responsibility of being the only one who could save the day. And it destroyed him, slowly, quietly, in ways nobody saw. And here's the cruelest joke of all. The world loved him for it. They loved Spider-Man, the hero, the legend, the guy who always showed up. But they didn't love Peter Parker. They didn't even know him. Because he gave everything to the mask, everything to the mission, everything to the people who needed saving. And he got nothing back. No recognition, no reward, no peace. Just more loss, more guilt, more impossible choices. The man who saved the world couldn't save himself, couldn't save his relationships, couldn't save the people he loved most. And that's the tragedy of Spider-Man. Not that he lost, but that he kept winning, kept saving, kept being the hero, even when it killed him inside. Peter Parker's life was a masterclass in sacrifice, in silent suffering, in doing the right thing even when it costs you everything. And that's why people love Spider-Man. Not because his life was perfect, but because it wasn't. Because he struggled. Because he failed. Because he lost everything and kept going anyway. He's the hero who proves that being good doesn't mean being happy. That doing the right thing doesn't always feel right. That sometimes the cost of saving the world is your own soul. And Peter paid that cost. Every single day. Without hesitation. Without hope of reward. Because that's what heroes do. They carry the weight nobody else can see. They make the choices nobody else wants to make. They sacrifice everything so that everyone else doesn't have to. So when you see Spider-Man swinging through the city, cracking jokes, saving the day with a smile, remember this: the man behind the mask is broken, has been for years, and he's still going, still fighting, still choosing to be the hero even when it destroys him. Because that's what makes him Spider-Man. Not the powers, not the costume, not the legend, but the choice. The choice to keep going when every part of you wants to stop. The choice to save others when you can't save yourself. The choice to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and pretend like it doesn't hurt. That's the real story of Spider-Man, not the victories, but the cost. The invisible, unbearable cost of being the hero everyone loves, and the man nobody saves.